Good afternoon and welcome back to another video. How are we all doing? All good, I hope. So today's video, I just wanted to talk about how you can get more range out of your Surron. Now there's a couple of really obvious things that you can do, like change into a bigger battery and stuff like that, but as we all know, in particular the batteries for the Surron, in particular the 72 volts and even bigger now, come with a proper hefty price tag. So there's a couple of other things that we can do that's really going to help us get more range from our Surron batteries. Now there's loads of different things you can do to help with this, and one I see all the time is, oh, choose your route wisely and don't go up too many hills. Well, let's be obvious, in the real world, if you're going out for a rip on the Surron, you're not really going to plan your route so you don't go up any hills and anything like that. So I'm just talking in general for your sort of broader rides. But yeah, let's face it, when you're out on a group ride or stuff like that, you're not going to turn it down just because you're going up a couple of hills. So there's a couple of things that you can do to the bike that's going to really help with the range. I know it sounds really stupid and really lame, but to be honest with you, having a decent tyre pressure for the sort of stuff you're riding is going to massively help your range. There's no doubt about it. But then looking at the bike itself, one of the first mods that most people do to Surrons, and probably one of the cheapest mods you're ever going to do, is your sprocket. And sprockets actually have a massive part to play in the range that you're going to get. And there's actually a really good YouTube video out there from a channel called Electric is Better, and he actually put this to the test. He actually entered in a race on his Surron, and with 100%, fucking hell, this is carnage, man. Fucking state of it. And he'd done two tests, one with a 58 tooth sprocket and one with a 48 tooth sprocket. And the results were pretty intriguing, to be fair. He was gaining so much more range using the 58 tooth sprocket. So again, that's something to really consider as your sprocket size. And what I'd probably also add on from that is your chain as well. So if you're running a really loose chain, this can have a huge impact. So definitely worth every couple of rides just checking the tension on the chain, make sure it's nice and tight. And again, this will massively help in getting more range from your Surron. And then sort of moving on from the chain and the sprocket, obviously you've got your other obvious features like bearings and stuff like that. Make sure that all your bearings are well lubricated, they're all working properly, especially wheel bearings that aren't daft, they're not slowing you down in any way or causing any sort of friction, as again, this is just going to cause a huge impact if they are old and worn. You've then got your power settings as well. Obviously, I don't need to tell you that if you're running in eco or you're running in sport, if you're running 10 kilowatts or you're running 28 kilowatts, you're obviously going to smash through your battery far quicker. And obviously, this is all going to be dependent on the setup you're running, whether you've got a different aftermarket controller, if you're running stock batteries, aftermarket batteries, that sort of thing. Even on stock, if you don't really need to be in sport, stick it in eco. You are going to save way more battery that way. And once you've had your Surron for probably about 3 or 4 months and you start to get used to the stock power, you're going to start upgrading it. And if you've just bought a Surron and you think, oh no, it's way fast enough, I'll never have to upgrade it, you're wrong, you definitely will. But then start looking at what you're going to upgrade to, what sort of controller you're going to go for, what sort of battery you're going to go for, what sort of performance you're going to get out of both of those. And I know this is going to be blatantly obvious to most people, but if you are in the market and you are looking for new upgrades, specifically a battery, then the two main things you want to look for is your voltage, which is obviously going to give you your power, which is obviously going to just drain your battery a lot quicker because you're going to have more power going through the bike. But the one thing to look out for is the amp hour of the battery. So the bigger the amp hour, technically the more range you're going to be able to get. For me personally, I went for a 72 volt 55 amp hour, and the reason behind that was I wanted the power of the 72 volt and then the 55 amp hour just purely so I'm going to get as much out of the battery in terms of the range as possible. At the time when I purchased the battery, it was probably one of the biggest amp hour batteries you could buy. And again, if you are looking for an upgraded battery, then I would highly recommend the Electron Cycles Dominator V3. It's been absolutely fantastic for me. More power than you're ever going to need. Top speeds of around 70 miles an hour. Again, if I was to look at the gearing on it as well and change the sprocket, we could probably get even more than that. And then the 55 amp hour, that gives me around sort of 55 to 60 miles range. Now obviously I'm not smashing around at 70 miles an hour doing that. There's a lot of stop and starting and cruising at 20 miles an hour up to 30, you know. I'm not saying if you buy a big amp hour battery then you're going to be able to run flat out at 70 miles an hour for 50 or 60 miles. You definitely won't. But you know, for your average ride, for example like a group ride, we normally cover around sort of 20 miles and I'm still coming home with sort of 60% battery left. So just to give you a rough sort of idea. The other thing that's going to really accumulate to you getting more range out of the battery as well, it's going to be the cells that are in the battery. The particular battery that I'm running, like I said, the Dominator V3, runs with very high quality Samsung cells. But obviously with better quality cells, better quality batteries and a better quality BMS, it does come with a price. So you'll just have to weigh that up in your head, how much you want to spend and what sort of quality you're looking for. But let's say you've bought the battery, you've gone for a decent quality reputable battery. The other thing that's going to really help you with your range is how you treat that battery. Where are you storing it? Is it in a shed outside where it's getting absolutely freezing cold, or is it getting boiling hot in a conservatory or something like that? But yeah, the storage of the battery has a huge part to play on keeping the condition of those cells in top form. The next thing you're going to want to look at is your charge cycles for the battery. Oh no, I think we've got a puncture. No, we're good. Yeah, the charge cycle for the battery. Are you depleting the battery cells right down to empty so there's nothing left at the end of your ride? This is going to do you absolutely no favours. I never run my battery less than about 15%. But on the flip side of that, when I say I'm coming home from group rides and I've still got 60% left, I wouldn't then charge it from 60% every time. I do like to give it a good cycle where I run it down to around the 15 to 18%, and then I will do a full charge on it. Most of the batteries these days all have a built-in decent BMS. Definitely something to look at. I know there's a couple of companies out there that their BMSs are better than others, but definitely take a look at the BMS that the battery comes with, and definitely have a think about how you're charging the battery, because the better the condition of those cells, the better they're going to perform and the longer they're going to last. Also then consider, when are you charging the battery? Are you coming back in from a 20-mile ride and sticking it straight on charge? Personally, from my experience, that's not good practice whatsoever. You're not giving the cells enough time to settle and balance out. So definitely make sure after that ride you leave it for a good couple of hours to cool down, to settle down, then you're fine to stick it on charge. The other thing that I do probably every 10 cycles of my battery, and this is going to be quite controversial because of all the electrical products you probably have in your house, it's, oh, don't overcharge the cell. That is true in quite a lot of the cases with most things that have a battery attached to it, but for the high performance batteries like the Dominator V3, every sort of 10 cycles I'll then put the battery on charge, and then I leave it on charge for about 10 to 12 hours. Now this was highlighted to me by the manufacturer, and it's something that I've continued to do. They manufacture the batteries, they know what they're talking about, and that's the guidance they're giving, so I'm 100% going to stick to and listen to what they're saying. But yeah, every 10 to 12 cycles, give the battery a really good top up, and that will just completely rebalance all the cells back out. Keep that battery nice and healthy, which when you're investing that sort of money into a battery, you want it to last as long as possible. But like I said, it will just keep those cells healthy. Now, I'm not saying that everyone should go out and do this. Please check with your manufacturer, because if you're watching this video, no doubt you would have seen the amount of e-scooters and e-bikes that have caught fire over the last year or so. It's a massive issue globally, so we could talk about this in a whole nother video about where's appropriate to charge your battery and stuff like that, and where you should be buying a battery from. So yeah, please don't go out and just charge your battery for a day straight whilst you're not in the house, because I have no idea what battery you're running. And the last thing I want to do is hear about another e-bike fire or e-scooter fire. So, but yeah, hopefully you found that quite informative and quite interesting. I think the sprocket thing for me was really intriguing. Like I said, it's something that pretty much all Surron owners end up doing, so choosing the right sprocket to get you a little bit more range could be worth a consideration. But yeah, check your tyre pressures, have a look at your sprocket, make sure your bike is functioning to the best it can, your bearings are all good, it's all been lubed. I know these are obvious things, but it might help someone. And then for range, if you are looking for a new battery, definitely look at the amp hour of the battery, because this is going to be the key factor in you getting more range or being left behind when you're out on a group ride. Anyway guys, I'm going to finish the video there, so hopefully that's helped someone out. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But yeah, cheers guys, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.